So welcome everybody. This is an update from the Akwesasne Mohawk Board of Education. So tonight, October 28th, 2020, we wanted to reach out because of COVID. We can't have in-person meetings, so we wanted to make sure that we're providing information to update everybody and to answer any questions that anybody might have. And I'm sure many people have similar questions. So just to review, we have two models at AMBE. We have the hybrid model and we have the remote learning model. So in this, we have right now at AMS school, we have 276 students. We have 120 students that are remote, meaning that they're fully at home doing their learning, and 156 students that are in the hybrid model, meaning that they're 2 days in school and 2 days at home doing instruction online. At the Nautical School, we have 130 students and 63 of them are currently remote and 67 of them are in that hybrid model. And at Ahkwesahne School, we have 183 students, 80 of which are remote and 103 are hybrid. The numbers are changing a little bit because we also had over the last 2.5 weeks, people asking us if they could actually return to school. And in some cases, we made some adjustments because of connectivity issues, but our major changes will be coming. So we need to make sure that parents are aware of the opportunity to be able to switch their child to the hybrid model if they so choose. At Ahkwesahne School, as our other schools as well, we have smaller classes for students who are attending in school. The class sizes range from 5 to 12 students. Tammy Kroon is the principal at Ahkwesahne School. This is just a snapshot of one of the classrooms just to show, because I know since parents can't come into the school and visit the classrooms to kind of see what students are, how students are interacting. And so this is just an example of one of the learning environments that are set up. So the kids can still communicate, but they're safe because they're behind the dividers and they also have masks. Because of the dividers, they can take breaks from their mask, so they don't have to have that on all day. The other important thing to note is that in all of our classrooms, we also have computers available for students or iPads that they could be on their programs with at school as well as at home. We also are receiving more Chromebooks, which will be going out shortly to the schools because some students were missing Chromebooks at this point. So they have arrived and they're going to be distributed very soon. Our Ganyageha and our Ganadago School are working really hard using the neuro-linguistic approach. And they also have a lot of resources that are available on the iMohawk website. And the password for that site is SKAH123. We also have homework activities that are now available on the AMBE Facebook for extra practice, as well as on our website under resources for parents. So on the website, there are a lot of resources. The Mohawk team has also worked really hard to make take-home packages, and those are going to be distributed shortly. So there'll be little books with activities. Everything that the child needs to complete the activity will be within the package. If you haven't already received a package from the school with school supplies, scissors, glue, a number of things that you might need, rulers, pencils, markers, for your child to complete some of the activities that are sent home in the packets, you can do so, access one by contacting the school. So just contact the school and let us know if you haven't received one at this point, and we'll be happy to make sure that one gets sent home with your child or available for you to pick up. We're really grateful for the amount of parent support that we've been receiving at all 3 of our schools. Parents have been very supportive when we've had to make phone calls about any child becoming ill at school. We're very grateful that we haven't had to deal with, like so many other schools, cases of COVID, but it's flu season and it's cold season. So people get colds. Some children had to be picked up because of, having sort of sniffles or a light cough. and parents have been very supportive, and we thank them for that in, you know, responding very quickly to come and pick up their child. We're continuously trying to reach out. We did have a virtual open house in which we invited parents into the classrooms to see what kinds of activities were being offered. Not everybody was able to attend the virtual open house. Some of those things were made available through the Google Classrooms. So it would be good if you didn't have a chance to attend, to reach out to your child's teacher, and they can maybe share the link so that you can take a tour virtually of some of the activities and what's happening in the classroom. So at our Mohawk school, they're challenging their students to excel and encouraging parents to support students with online learning. This partnership will help close the gaps that were a result of the closure caused by the global pandemic. There is an updated COVID screening tool, and it's actually web-based, and you can go on the tool. We have sent home information, and it's on the website and the Facebook page. But you can click on and you answer some questions, and it will tell you whether you should keep your child home, whether you should call to get further assistance from a nurse or a doctor, whether you need a test or just to remain home and monitor symptoms. So I think doing the screening tool will give you some answers before even sending your child you know, to school or contacting the medical professionals. Our AMBE food services update. So the lunch menus been provided, they're being posted. We, with the benefit of having some additional COVID dollars, we're able to offer for the month of November and December free food services for breakfast and lunch for all of the students who are attending the hybrid model. So bills will be sent out for the 2019-2020 year so we can complete those food service payments. We are really thankful to all the parents who have already made arrangements and made the payments. We'll be resuming payments in January for hot lunch unless any additional funding is secured, in which case we'll notify everyone. Parents who paid for November and December in advance can either contact us to be reimbursed, or you can defer the funds for your January payments. Please contact Luella Lazor Guzzi at the AMBE office, 613-933-0409, extension 1411. We also, it's really important that we keep all of your contact information up to date. As some of you may be aware, last year we started with a school messenger system, which is an automated system that can do text messages, phone calls, emails. We need to make sure we have updated information for your contacts so that you can get those calls or email notifications. So you'll hear updated information as things occur. Please go to the AMBE Facebook page or the AMBE website. There's also important links there about the learning platforms that you can find. Okay, so in order to opt into the hybrid model, at this point, some parents picked remote learning. However, this is often challenging, especially for young learners. There is an option at the end of the first term to opt into the hybrid model. In the hybrid model, the students will attend in-school instruction 2 days per week, and they'll either be on a Monday, Tuesday in school or a Thursday, Friday in school. It'll depend on the spaces in the classroom, because we want to make sure our classes remain small so that we're keeping all of the students and staff safe. On Wednesdays, that's expected to be an independent learning day. There's often catch-up work that needs to be done. There's learning packages that the students working on reading or writing assignments. They can also reach out to their teachers on Wednesdays because the staff are on site, and if they can email if there's a question, if they're uncertain, and the teacher will get back in touch with them. So any parent who wants to change from that remote learning model to the hybrid model must submit a change request form. Okay, that will become available on the website. The form must be submitted by November 20th at 12 noon for your child to access the hybrid model. If you have 3 children, you need to do a form for each child because it's a separate classroom placement for each child. We also need to know if you want to access bus transportation. The change request form has to be filled out for each child online, or you can call your child's school and go through the form with the administrative assistant, the teacher, or the principal. Some important dates that we have coming up. So in order to maximize instructional days, there are times when we have holidays on a Monday or a Thursday, Friday, and we want to make sure that we have a balanced amount of in-school instruction for students. So we have some dates that we'll review. November 2020, there's no cost for AMBE food services. Wednesday, November 25th is an in-school instruction day for Group B students. So normally on Wednesdays, students are learning independently on their own, but Thursday, Friday that week are AMBE board holidays. So on the 25th, we'll have the Group B students come in. So they'll have 1 day of instruction in school, which will balance out towards the end of the year. November 26 and 27 are the board holidays. AMBE schools in the admin office are closed. In December 2020, there is no cost for AMBE food services. Deadline, December 3rd, deadline for students. Sorry, there's a correction there. That deadline is November 20th. And the reason for the November 20th deadline is we have to have enough time to group your children into groups, to make sure we have the instructor in place for that group, and then to let you know what the days will be and the changes so that you could plan accordingly. So that December 3rd is actually November 20th. December 21st, Group A will have an online in-school instruction day. And the Group A, in case you're wondering, is the Monday-Tuesday group. December 22nd, Group B will have an online, an in-school instruction day. And that is the Thursday-Friday group. So they'll be in on the Monday-Tuesday, because then Christmas holidays start from December 23rd to January 3rd. And all of these dates will be posted. So you don't need to write them down. Everything will be posted and resent out. January 4th, we'll be back at the schools and the admin office. And this is the date that your children, if they're changing models, will start back into school. If they're in Monday, Tuesday group, they'll be in on January 4th. So remote learning has posed quite a few challenges. Some people have really dived in and created their own little classroom within their homes, which is quite exciting. Fortunately, this young man has a parent that was working in the schools. At AMBE, we understand the many challenges of remote learning due to the COVID-19 and this new way of learning. AMBE teachers and support staff are here to support you, and we must all work together for the success of AMBE students. If you are experiencing challenges or issues, please reach out to your child's school teacher or principal. Again, nyawa to parents. Nyawa go to our parents who are working with our teachers to ensure that their children are attending their online lessons and completing assigned work. Attendance is recorded for all of the online lessons. These lessons are required to support student success and to collect grades for students. If students are not attending their online classes, they are missing lessons that are being delivered to support curriculum requirements. It's really important, the attendance. We realize it's challenging, and it's not always easy having your children at home and trying to get them all hooked up online. We are here to work with you, and any ways we can help to support that. We need your questions. We need the feedback. We need to know how we could, better support you. We're doing everybody, as you are, doing the best that we can to ensure that student learning is still moving forward in these challenging times. Nyawa. So if we have any questions, we can review those now.
I can't find the raise hand button for questions. Can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, my question was, you mentioned if you want to switch your child from online to hybrid for term 2, okay, term 2, I thought that ended January 31st, but then I thought you mentioned in the thing after Christmas they would start. So which is it?
They would start after Christmas.
So that isn't term 2 though, right?
No, they just for the second half of the year, they would be starting January 4th, and then we'll just be making the adjustments, you know, with the teachers passing on the grades to if it's a different teacher at that point.
Okay, and then another, so what is the deadline? So my child's in hybrid, but will we know numbers after this November 20th date? So say all of a sudden there's a giant influx of hybrid students and now, you know, there's too many kids. I don't feel comfortable sending him to hybrid. When do I have to let you know that I want him to go to online then if there's too many kids?
So kids can switch to remote at any time.
Okay, it's still like that.
Yeah, the in-school is the one that's more challenging because of the space within the school. And so at this point, it may mean changing some classrooms around in order to accommodate keeping the numbers at 12 or less.
Okay, and would we know those numbers before January 4th so we could choose online if we need to?
Yes, the goal is that by November 20th, we have our forms in. And then before we go to Christmas break, we'll have all the classrooms set up.
Okay, thank you.
We have one question in the chat. If my child goes back to school, will they have the same teacher?
It's not necessary, like it doesn't mean they'll have the same teacher. Unfortunately, it could be, but I couldn't say that right now. It would depend on if there was a teacher, for example, that was teaching fully online and all of the kids wanted to come in that group, potentially she would move to in class with those kids. But if there was a teacher who, you know, had still quite a number of students that were staying online, it may not be the same teacher. And we won't know that until we get the numbers, because we don't want to overload the classrooms. Like we don't want to now all of a sudden put, you know, 18 kids in a class. I think we've had the success we've had with, you know, making sure that there's enough distancing between children in the rooms and between staff by keeping the numbers low in an individual classroom. I can add though that all of our teachers work collaboratively and across a grade level, for example. So if somebody's teaching grade 1 or grade 4, they're collaborating on the lessons and the learning. So there's a lot of meeting and planning so that even when somebody's in school or somebody's online, they're trying to coordinate the lessons and work that's happening in both places. So that even if they had a different teacher, it wouldn't be one that they were not familiar. They would have already been working as a team with the teacher they had before.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask, or you can type it in the chat.
I have another question. What if there's a giant influx from remote to hybrid? How will that work if you're trying to keep the numbers down? Will it be like a lottery, a first come, first serve? You know, how will that, if that happens?
Well, if we had to, we would bring in additional staff.
Oh, okay.
It's not
In
gonna
order to
be
keep
like,
them down.
no, because we're not gonna deny
Okay.
somebody to come in. If the child really needs to be in school, then what we're going to do is look at um, either the location, the school location could be an option as well, because we do have some classrooms like at Ganadago School, for example, that have much lower number of students that are in school on certain days. So maybe just looking at the numbers and looking at where people are placed. We have more teachers that are online at Ganadago School because there's less on site on certain days. So it may be just meaning somebody teaches a different grade, or maybe one teacher from one of our schools teaches a few online students in a particular grade. So there might be 2 grade 6 students at AMS and 2 grade 6 students at Ganadago and maybe 3 at SNI. And the online person teaches those students, and then we can then have the person who was teaching online before now teach another face-to-face group. So that's why we need to know by November, so that we can make sure that we can do all of that planning.
Okay, so you still want to really keep the class sizes to 12 though? That's what
Yes.
it's like? Okay, perfect.
If a child is already in hybrid, would the parents have to fill out anything to keep them in that for January?
No. They already have a place, they're already in, then they're set. But if transportation is changing, they need to let us know, because we did have quite a few parents that said they wanted to drive the children, and then, winter's coming. Maybe their job situation changed and they now want them to access transportation. We need to know that part. So if they're in hybrid, but currently, but they were driving them and now they want them on the bus, we need to have that information. Needs to go to Dwayne Thomas, who's the transportation supervisor, so he can create the list with adding the new students for January.
Are these the plans for the rest of the school year?
Well, right now we're working with whatever the health directives are. Right now, the directive is that we can continue to stay open. We don't have a lot of cases in Akwesasne, which is, very good for the community. There are cases that are growing around us in Ontario and getting closer and closer. However, with all of the safety precautions that we've put in place, and as long as we have open dialogue with our parents, we should be able to continue with this model for this school year. And hopefully in the fall, we'll be seeing a different reality. But for this school year, the hope is to try to keep kids in at least 2 days a week, because we know that fully online is very challenging. We're very eager to get back to our normal education, but we'll keep moving forward with this model while it's keeping everybody safe and going forward. And we'll update parents if anything should have to change based on health guidelines.
Will they be doing an assessment on how well the kids are doing through hybrid? I don't feel, this is in the chat, I don't feel like my children are learning to their fullness like they would be if they were at the school setting.
Yeah, so this is a reality. This is a reality across every school district, because every school district is in this same situation where there's partial online learning, partial in school. We lost a lot of time from last March. Many children couldn't connect at all at that point. It was really challenging. We continuously do assessments. The teachers are giving assessments. They will be doing diagnostic assessments. They'll be doing regular reviews to see where students are at. They have targets set. We don't expect that we'll be able to deliver the same kinds of teaching in 2 days that we could have if children were in school 5 days and had access to all of the additional supports as well. However, we're keeping learning moving forward, because otherwise, if we couldn't reach out to them because they were fully at home, in some cases the learning can't move forward. But I think that while maybe it's not moving forward to the same pace it would, just engaging them in reading every day, engaging them in some mathematical activities, having them sort and classify and look at things and try to figure things out. We're also very excited about a new project that we're going to be engaging in, which is it's a science project where students will be getting kits, science kits. All of the material will come in a bag for experimenting, and we'll have virtual science teacher that's going to deliver the lessons, and the children, whether they're at home or in school, will have access to get the kit and to be able to work along the experiments, so to keep that science learning going as well. So there are assessments that are happening, and we do recognize that the learning is not growing at the same rate. We're not alone in that. It's everywhere across the world. It's happening because school is not looking the same for anybody. And there's a lot of anxiety too. That's the other part that we're really trying to support, because children feel what's going on. They ask questions about everybody with masks and, what's happening and why are things so different. And so there's a lot of anxiety too and stress that's being placed on them. So your support as parents in ensuring that they log on, they get on the computer, they're following up with the work that's being assigned is really important to just keep that learning moving forward. And yes, we're going to have to do a lot. We've been talking about the types of interventions that are going to have to happen once we get back full-time in school, once we're over this pandemic and we found some resolve to it. There's going to have to be a lot of interventions that are put in place in order to ensure that students gain the, whatever gaps that occurred during this time. Is there any other questions?
Donna, well, it's kind of quiet right now. I just wanted to extend my gratitude and my thanks to all of the teachers that I know are working really hard right now. I witness this 2 times a week with my son as he does the remote learning. And I think our teachers have really stepped up over the last month and have done an excellent job in reaching out to each child and making sure that they are learning at the best. I mean, we're all dealing with the situation the best we can. So if you can pass it on to the teachers from, the community, from myself, I'd really appreciate that. I make sure I let my son's teacher know all the time that I appreciate her doing what she can and reaching out if there's a problem. And so if you can just pass that message along, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, will do. Yawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to acknowledge that, it's not an easy situation, and it's not even a situation that most of our elementary educators have, experienced before. A little bit of doing things on a smart board or watching a video, or most elementary children never learn virtually. You're used to having the hands-on, having the groups in the classroom, working face to face. This whole remote learning threw us into a whole nother realm. It did, though. I feel like all of our teachers have thrived in this. Like, I look at some of their Google Classrooms and I'm amazed at the work that they've done and put into them. I think it's really exciting. And, I think they've spent a lot of time learning how to do some of these things and use some of these resources digitally. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them, and it's a challenge for the children. Like, how do you keep attention online? It's not the same as watching TV, you know, like there's a different kind of focused attention. I know when we're in meetings and things like that online, after a couple hours, it's like sometimes you can't focus anymore, you know, staring at a screen and listening. So it's not easy for, for any of them. So we realize that, and we know there's going to have to be things that are put in place once the children get back into their normal routines in school. And we're preparing for that. And I think we've secured a lot of programming at this point that'll really help with that as we move forward. So we've really ventured out into new numeracy programs, literacy programs, like looking at things to help support different interventions. But we're still moving forward too with assessments that have to be done, like some of the psychological assessments that students need for their IEPs. We're still moving forward with those. We're going to be doing those over virtual platforms. So all of those things are still happening. Like, I think that we're really, when we listen to, and I hear from some of the staff that have children in some of the Cornwall schools or other areas, and they've been talking about the challenges that they're seeing out there and having to teach kids in the class and online at the same time and trying to divide their attention. So I think we've really set up a model and been able to help teachers to focus on just the group they have with them and not have to, sort of divide their attention between both. And I don't know if many parents have seen, but there's also been a lot of cultural activities that have taken place virtually. Alice King was able to put on a number of Gastoa making workshops, a whole bunch of different workshops and things that she had virtual for in-school kids and out of school.
There's a question, if the school goes back to normal, will you be taking Head Start children again?
We're in discussions on that at this point. Because we're working now, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but the daycares are now under AMBE. And so there's discussions at this point as to whether there'll be a alternative form of the Head Start program, or whether the Head Start program will be in the school. But we'll be making those announcements and meeting early on in March. So we're just trying to decide where they would get the most services right now. But there will be a Head Start. I think also keep an eye out for the 0 to 6 program. They've been offering quite a few activities and things to parents. They're actually located, their offices right now at the Thompson building on the island, our building blocks building. It's Rita Lane. Denise, do you know the number to?
I think it's 91.
Oh, there's one more question. This mom says, for me, I work on the island and I'd like my child to go to Ganadago. What happens there if she was in the Head Start program?
Can you read the question again?
The mom works on the island, but she would like her child to go to Ganadago. What happens there if she's in the Head Start program and they live in Snai?
Going to Head Start or going to?
Okay. She means transportation wise. So they live in Snai. She wants her daughter to go to Head Start in Ganadago.
In the past, we've had the students attend the Head Start in the district that they live in.
Yeah, so I think that at that point, we would have to look at the situation and if it was for language purposes, and then make that determination, you know, with the parent's application and have that discussion. Because transportation, you know, it is only an issue right now inter-district because of COVID. But we have students that come from the island that go to like K4, K5, grade 1 at Ganadago School, or come from SNI. So the only that we weren't doing inter-district, but we still were doing it for Ganadago School because of the immersion program. So I think it's important though to note that we won't be opening Head Start this year. Right now, our Head Start staff have been providing vital service support to the K4 and K5 students in order to keep those numbers low and to use the spaces within the school as well. So again, I think we just want to say thank you to everyone, and we want to remind everyone that you can call the school or you can call the AMBE office if you have other questions. For those people who weren't able to attend tonight, they could, you know, give us a call at the AMBE office, speak to Denise or myself, or call your school principal if you need some questions to be answered about your particular school.
Oh, there's one more question. Not sure if you covered this yet, but what will the threshold of cases be in order for the schools to close?
So we'll be in consultation with the Department of Health as well with the executive director, and we'll be looking at whether the transmission happened in the school. So in most cases in schools, it has to be 2 or more cases within the school that was transmitted within the school. So they have to be linked. It's not that a child in one class had a case, because then in most schools, what's happening is that one class will be shut down. There'll be a deep cleaning that will happen. There'll be monitoring of anybody who was in contact, and then follow up with community health. But if there was a transmission that it was passed from one person in the school to another person in the school, then that's when a school is looked at being closed at that point. So it varies. There's not a particular like 2 or 3. It depends on how the transmission happened. And what we're told constantly when we call community health with anybody who has a concern about maybe potentially being exposed to someone is that the question is, if you were working in the room with the person, did you have a mask on? If you had a mask on and that person had a mask on, then your risk of exposure is very minimal. If you were in the room with someone and you both had no masks on and you were working in close contact, then it increases your risk chances. So the circumstances have to be really investigated to see what happened, how, what the risk was like. And that's why having the shields, having the dividers on the desk, having the children use the mask, having the hand sanitizers and washing hands and eating within the rooms and staying within the bubbles is really important to limit any risk of transmission. I know that Denise and I walk around the schools and we've gone to visit at each of the schools, and for the most part, kids are happy. They seem happy. They seem very comfortable wearing the masks or the shields. You know, there are some taking mask breaks at points, and they seem to be happy being in school. Nobody seems to be really nervous, or they seem to be very comfortable with the whole new normal. Okay, so if there are no more questions tonight, again, we encourage you to reach out if you have any questions, and please make sure if you want your child to switch from the remote learning to hybrid that you complete a form by November 20th in order for us to make sure that they have a placement in the school. Nyawa for joining us tonight.